Welcome, everyone. Today is about taking a super simple approach to making AI easier and, honestly, more fun to implement inside your business. The game is changing fast, and the question is no longer whether AI will transform the way companies operate. The real question is whether your business will be ready to take advantage of it while the opportunity is still early. The goal today is to make this practical, approachable, and actionable.
Here's the big reveal. AI is not actually as hard to implement as most people think. You do not need a data science team. You do not need to rip out your current technology stack. And you do not need a massive innovation budget. What you need is a clear starting point, a practical use case, and the willingness to begin.
Let's keep this executive-friendly. No jargon, no technical lecture, no PhD required. The simplest way to think about an AI agent is like a brilliant new hire who never sleeps, never forgets, and gets faster every day. You give it a goal, it helps plan the work, it acts on that plan, and then it reports back. That's the basic rhythm: goal, plan, act, and report. The puck is headed toward autonomous, voice-enabled, human-like agents. That matters because the businesses that build for that future now will be much better positioned later. We already know that a huge percentage of repetitive work can be automated with today's tools. We know routine workflows can move dramatically faster, and we know the value at stake for early movers is massive. So this is not about hype, it's about direction. One of the most helpful mindset shifts is to stop thinking about AI as just another app or tool. AI is becoming infrastructure. In the same way businesses eventually had to assume the availability of electricity, internet, and cloud software, they will increasingly assume the availability of AI. It's becoming part of the operating layer of the business itself. To really unlock the power of AI agents, it helps to think of them more like human team members. People need tools, skills, and guidance to perform well, and so do agents. If you give someone the right software, the right training, and the right operating instructions, their performance improves. The same is true here. That is how AI stops being a toy and starts becoming a dependable part of the team. Before you deploy an agent, there are 3 basic questions to answer. First, what tools or software does it need access to? Second, what skills does it need in order to use those tools effectively? And third, what guidelines, rules, or prompts should shape the way it behaves? If you can answer those 3 questions clearly, you are already much closer to having a useful agent than most people realize. Here's the practical framework. First, focus on the core by identifying what you actually want to automate. Second, create a blueprint by mapping the workflow in plain English. Third, bolt on skills over time as the system proves itself. That's it. Simple, repeatable, and effective. The key principle here is agent first. In other words, don't start by trying to automate the entire company at once. Start with one agent, one role, and one job to be done. Once that agent is working, you can expand from there. The goal is not to build an empire on day one. It's to create one clear, working proof point. In this diagram, we see that a voice call is being fed into the agent's brain or prompt. The agent, like a human, determines what skills are needed to complete the request and then chooses the appropriate tools that you have given it, such as PowerPoint, QuickBooks, and so on. Prompt plus skills plus tools equals the results you want.
An API is simply a way for your existing systems to talk to AI in the cloud. Think of it as a translator or messenger. Your apps send requests, the AI processes them, and the results come back into your workflow. The important point is that you usually do not need to rebuild everything. You can connect what you already have to intelligent capability without replacing your whole tech stack. This slide is showing an example of the data that modern-day APIs expose, making it easier to connect apps and get them to interact with each other properly. The application used here is Make.com, which is a very easy-to-use, no-code solution for automation.
This question matters because strategy gets real when it becomes measurable. If you automate even a few repetitive workflows, what happens to labor hours, response times, and operational cost? What happens to customer experience when people get faster answers and teams have more focus? Once leaders start putting numbers to those outcomes, AI stops feeling experimental and starts feeling strategic. The fastest way to build momentum is to start with low-hanging fruit. Look for tasks that happen in high volume, follow clear rules, consume a lot of time, and carry relatively low risk if the first version isn't perfect. That is where early wins live. And early wins matter because they build trust, confidence, and organizational buy-in. Every strong AI transformation starts with one agent, one job, and one win. Choose the use case with the highest pain and the clearest rules. Define the role so the agent has a name, a purpose, and a scope. Then deploy it, watch how it performs, gather data, and let the results create momentum. An example of high pain and low-hanging fruit is cross-calendar appointment setting with multiple people. This is where you design your workflow like an architect, not just a manager reacting to technology. What triggers the workflow? What logic or decisions need to happen? What tools does the agent need to use? And what output should it produce at the end? The best blueprints are usually created in simple language, often on a whiteboard, long before anyone touches code. A blueprint is a living document that defines the scope, resources, and outcomes for your AI agent. It is less about coding and more about clarity. It explains what the process is, what the agent needs to know, and what success should look like. In many ways, it is the operating plan for your future AI team member. While this blueprint looks complex, what it really is just a representation of what you know. To make a process work, we are simply transferring the knowledge you have in your head to an agent. A blueprint is not just a technical document, it is a business decision document. It forces clarity around what process you are automating, what information the agent needs, and what success should look like in the first 30 days. It also helps the human team stay aligned before any build begins. That is why, especially early on, many companies benefit from getting help creating these blueprints well before scaling. When we create blueprints, we act a bit like an inquisitive therapist. Many people operate processes intuitively, which means we have to spend time asking detailed questions about every step. If you're asking where to begin with the simplest patterns. Repetitive customer intake, appointment scheduling, status updates, internal information retrieval, and basic reporting are all common starting points. These are the kinds of activities that are structured enough for AI to handle well and valuable enough to make people feel the impact quickly. The first win should be obvious, useful, and easy to understand. Once the first agent is running, that's when the real leverage begins. You can start connecting it to your CRM, your knowledge base, your calendar, your ticketing system, and your communication channels.
Each new skill is like snapping another Lego piece onto a working base. You do not start over each time, you multiply the value of what you already built. AI adoption is not one giant leap, it's a sequence. First, identify the best low-risk, high-value opportunities. Then, build and pilot your first agent. After that, expand and integrate, connecting new systems and adding new capabilities over time. Each phase builds on the one before it, and that gradual progression is exactly what makes the transition manageable.
Here's what this can look like in the real world. In week 1, start using an agent like Annie so people can experience the capability firsthand. In the next few weeks, create blueprints for the key processes across the company. Then, choose the easiest, lowest cost process to build first. After that, continue expanding blueprint development based on budget, priorities, and results.
This is where the business case gets compelling. Companies are seeing faster response times, major time savings across their teams, and measurable ROI in a matter of months, not years. Customer-facing agents can respond instantly. Internal teams can get hours back every week, and leaders can begin reallocating time and energy towards strategy, relationships, and growth.
This is the part I want people to really hear. Stop waiting for AI to become easy enough. It already is. You do not need perfect conditions, perfect knowledge, or perfect timing. You simply need a starting point and a willingness to move.
Before you leave, there are 3 questions worth answering. What is one high-volume, rule-based process that is consuming too much of your team's time? Who on your team would benefit most if an agent could take the most tedious part of their work off their plate? And what would it mean for your business if that happened in the next 30 days? Those questions can become the starting point for real action. The puck is moving, whether we move with it or not. The executives who act now are the ones most likely to shape their industries tomorrow. So don't wait for AI to feel mainstream. In many ways, it already is. Pick one process, draw one blueprint, deploy one agent, and let that first win lead to the next. I hope you enjoyed this overview.